What's up, my friend? We are about to go live with Aman Segal to talk about what it's like to launch and promote your own events. This is Branding 104, and we're going live right now. Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Rhoades. I am the creative director and founder of reformdesigns.biz. My wife and I run a full-service creative agency. We're currently based in Salem, Oregon. And today I am here to talk with my friend Aman about branding and what it's like to launch your own events, bring your own ideas to life, all that fun stuff. And so, Aman, welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out today.
Thanks for having me. This is really, really cool. This is what I'm about. I've really, I'm gonna have to present you next.
Yeah. I would be honored to do that, sir. So for those of you guys who are watching, this is the fourth in our series on branding that we're doing. We started out talking about basically just the concept of branding as a whole. And then over time, the last few episodes, we have talked about more of the specifics of what it's like whenever you decide to go pro with your creative career, and whenever you decide, you know what, yeah, I'm going to own this thing. I'm going to try and figure out a way to make money with my art. Mary said, "Can Aman turn his mic up? He's a little quiet." I can turn the audio up on that on my end, Mary. So Aman, can you do a sound check for me real quick?
Hi, my name is Aman Segal. I'm with Ojai Short Film Fest. I'm also a filmmaker in this crazy place we call Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay, Mary. So you're part of our sound check team this morning. It's early Sunday morning. We're still kind of waking up. Got my tea here, and so we're still working out some technical details. So this is part of the game, folks. This is part of the show. This is part of creativity. Is you never know what could go wrong, so you have to learn to be quick on your feet and have a good team of people around you to help. So Mary said maybe up a touch more, but that is better. Okay, Aman, so how about you continue your introduction and just start it over. Take two. Here we go.
Sure. My name is Aman Segal. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I packed my car at the age of 20 in 1999. Had never been to California or Los Angeles. Or Los Angeles or California. Packed my car and decided I placed third in a national talent competition, and packed my car as an actor and signed with an agency in LA and drove out to California, and that's where the story begins.
Dude, that's awesome, and it's funny because it's actually I didn't go to Hollywood. My wife and I, whenever Mary actually, first of all, Mary said perfect, so we got the sound good. Awesome. So on that note, Aman, that's I didn't know that about you, so thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. And yeah, we're gonna definitely talk about that a little bit more.
Always been.
Oh. Getting a bit of a cutout here on the audio.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
There we go. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, basically, my first in the professional world was third in a talent competition. And back then they had these, sorry, the internet's a little jerky. Back then they had these, talent searches and things like that. And I was like, my mom was like, yeah, go, you can do it. And not knowing that, what it would lead to. She just thought it was a one-off thing. She wanted me to do, the typical Indian thing, engineer, or,
sure,
something like that. And she allowed me to go to Vegas, and I drove out to Vegas with some guys who I didn't even know, and they were just happened to be headed that way, and that's where I learned to love R&B, because back then I was listening to Nirvana and bands like that, and the guy that was driving, all he listened to was Keith Sweat.
Okay. Nice. I remember Keith Sweat back in the 90s.
Love.
Oh man, Your
So
audio
I
and
ended
stuff
up
keeps
driving,
cutting out.
you
Do you
know,
have?
so I ended up winning placing really well. And there was, talent agencies from New York and LA, and the ones in New York and LA were.
Oh man, folks, it seems
But
that
I'm
we're having some internet difficulties here. Amon, I don't know if you happen to have like a hard wire that you can plug in. Oh, are we back?
Yeah, sorry about that. I think it's my internet.
Do you happen to have like a hard wire that you can plug in?
And so I ended up in LA. I was with an agency. I was with.
Testing, 1 2 3. Testing, 1 2 3.
Yeah, we're good now. Are we good?
I think we're good. Do you happen to have
Okay.
a hard wire, like a wire you can plug in instead of Wi-Fi?
I'm sorry. I'm on location, so I don't. Uh, I'm not at my place.
Oh, okay. Mary said sometimes it helps if I use my phone's hotspot. But
Hmm.
either way,
Okay.
we'll just keep going. We'll roll with it. She said it can be stronger than house internet.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, either way, so you were saying that you were in Las Vegas. You were starting to get into R&B and on your kind of journey across the country. How was so?
All the devices are on my phone.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not getting. I think we're missing each other a little bit here. Um,
Yeah.
So, you were saying that you were in Vegas and that you were starting to get into R&B, so that's where you left off.
Yeah. So yeah, so I packed my bags. I moved to LA and uh, studied acting from the greats. One of my teachers was Anthony Hopkins, for example.
Hmm.
And studied Meisner and went on auditions. But the thing was, I wasn't getting the roles that I wanted, and it wasn't really. This is a term that I learned recently, but it wasn't really resonating with me. And
You mean
and
acting as a career?
yeah, well, no, the roles that I was getting, I've always been an actor, and just the roles. And so in Dallas, one of the moments in my life that kind of made me realize that I could do this was I used to hang out at a cafe called Cosmic Cafe, and there were these older guys who would sit around and they were writing a movie script, and I thought that was so cool. And we were in high school and we were studying, um, with my friends, but I noticed them, and it was Wes Anderson, Owen Wilson, and Luke Wilson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they ended up writing a movie called Bottle Rocket. And so that was always imprinted in my mind that if I got a team together, I could do that. And then at the same time, Reality Bites came out, and that was a bunch of actors getting together making a movie. Ben Stiller, Ethan Hawke, Winona Ryder,
Right.
and so that was always something that after seeing Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson like right next to me make it happen, I was
Right.
like, anything's possible.
Right. So
And
you basically realized that for ideas to come to life, you have to essentially form your team of superheroes to kind of come together, agree on a vision, and then, go out there and do it.
exactly. So I went out, so I went to film school. I was like, I'm not happy with the roles. I don't want to be the terrorist. If I
Yeah.
had IMDb back then, I would be, let's see, I have gangster number one, bad guy number
Right,
one.
right.
You know what I mean? So
It's funny you say that. Anytime, like, and obviously I'm white. I grew up in suburban white America. I'm not naive about the stark differences that I'm dealing with in that regard. But I've always, as a film buff, I've always would kind of stay after the credits, like, or to watch the credits with my dad, because we would always watch the behind the scenes stuff, and was just fascinated by the what it goes into making a movie. And so I would always see like those kind of listings, like gangster number one, gangster number two, and I'm like, whatever happened to those people? Like, it makes you, it always frustrated me that it was like, right. So like, how did that influence your desire to do your own thing?
Well, here's the thing, store clerk owner, stuff like that, right? There was only a few Indian Americans in Hollywood at the time, and one of my mentors was James Hong, and he was a Chinese American who was, always, I don't, to the Asian Americans who stuck with it and did those roles, they're doing very, very well today, and it's kind of their roles have kind of opened up. He ended up doing Blade Runner, and
oh, nice.
I
haven't seen the new one yet.
So no, he was in the old one.
Oh, okay.
The eyes. So he got some pretty meaty roles.
Sure.
But for me, it was really, really hard for me because I knew, I just in my heart, I was like, I should be just be doing something else, and I didn't.
Right.
Now I wish I would have stayed with it, but we can't turn back the clock and stuff like that. And
Sure.
So as far as actors getting those roles, I would say, stick with it. Things will change.
Sure.
And it'll open up the doors for other things. And we saw that with shows like Outsourced and, Mindy Kaling and UTK. There's a bunch of Asian American actors that are doing really, really well, and I'm really, really supportive and proud of them. And,
right.
we'll always mention, that they're breaking barriers. That's just something that at that time for me, I didn't think was possible.
Sure. What year was that? Roundabouts.
This was like 1999, 2000.
Okay. So in terms of now, I met, for those of you who don't know, I met Aman through a mastermind group that I'm in called the Creators Portal. And so it's a group of people that have basically decided to come together and help each other bring their creative visions to life. So even the show, even the fact that we're having this conversation is fruit of that. So super grateful to those guys. But the thing that I'm really curious about is how, now you're doing the Ojai Short Film Fest. So can you talk a little bit about that and how your story up to that point, when you decided, okay, you know what, it's time to go pro, it's time to really do my own thing, and really own it. It's like, I know how the film industry works. I know how to bring people together and make ideas happen. So it's kind of like, what really was that moment, if there was one, or a series of moments that kind of got you to the point of deciding, yeah, it's time to do the Ojai Short Film Fest and do it Aman's way?
Yeah, so my journey's been, I've had to figure this business out for myself. Even when it was from acting, it just, the moment I got in my car and I started driving to California, I had to figure everything out for myself. I didn't have family in the business. I didn't even have friends in the business. The only people that I knew were these agents that wanted to sign me, and and the information that I'd picked up on. And learned about. So what I learned was there's no rules to the game. Okay, anything's possible. And what I've witnessed, Owen, Luke, and Wes, there's no rules. Anything can happen. I saw when I was living in an apartment, I saw, the Judd Apatow crew go from living 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment to now look at them, they're just like mega stars.
I literally, my wife and I just watched a comedy special last night. Who was it? It was Jerry Seinfeld has a new Netflix show on where he talks about like his story and how he got into comedy. And I saw that Judd Apatow was one of the producers on that. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. So
yeah, he's also doing stand-up. Good for him. He's not very good at stand-up, but I like the fact that he, it resonates with him and he wants to do it. And that's what I'm learning is like, and my friend Susie Batiste, who's she's a big, huge brand, and she always talks about, dissonance and resonance. And if it resonates with you, like, follow it. And that's what, I think that's what I wanted to share today, as far as, figuring out, like, what you should do, what type of films you should make. Well, if you can feel it, make it, and if you feel some hesitation, sit back, think about it, and don't, but it should fully be in it to tell the story.
So like whenever you say, I guess my question in that regard would be, just as a fellow creative, someone who's like, I'm doing my own projects, I'm writing books, I'm doing client work and all this other stuff, and there's always this constant like ebb and flow of work and ideas and things that sometimes you'll start kind of noticing a general theme. Like, how do you, as a filmmaker, as a creative, like, how do you know when something is something that you should literally just kind of pull back on and set on the shelf, versus the things that you're like, yeah, you know what, this just isn't me anymore? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, for me, I should have a PhD in this industry from all my failures. I learned by failing, and I failed many, many times. And so you can avoid that. You don't have to go through what I went through, by trusting your gut. Your gut is a super big part of this industry. Like, should I make this movie, right? What does your gut say? If your gut says yes, if you're fully invested, that movie is probably going to get made.
So whenever you're asking your gut, how, if you're feeling it, but then you feel like your stomach's doing backflips because you're like nervous about actually doing it because of, whether it's like, oh, well, what will people think of insert project here, or, what will people think of me? Like, what advice would you give to people dealing with that? Because I know, at least in my work, especially, a lot of the people I meet, a lot of our clients, a lot of our friends, they're kind of in that spot where it's like they think they have the idea and they think they want to jump, but they're afraid, or like their family doesn't believe in them, those kinds of things. How did you handle that? Or how would you say to handle that?
Yeah, it's just something that, my great a family member of mine, she was a famous Bollywood actor, and she didn't get her break till she was 67.
Wow.
So to
Cut
office
out there again.
40. So the thing is you have to be ready. You have to be, and if you're on, then you're not really worried about what your parents think or what your friends, where your friends are. My friends are doing really well, in their businesses and things like that. I'm not competing with, the Joneses. I'm trying to do what I want to do, what what I have inside me. I'm trying to get that out. And, some people, the thing is this business is a rich man's sport. If you have money, you can easily make things happen and things can move very, very fast. But I didn't realize it was a rich man's sport till I was in it. And out of school, I put together a team, and we made a movie, and that movie got tied up in a lawsuit. So, there was a lot, you can find a lot of press still online about this movie and how everybody was anticipating it in the horror world. It had big names in the psychological thriller world, and it never came out. So it took me a little bit to kind of I'm just going to start at the bottom. I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to work my way up through this industry. And that was the independent route. And I tried the whole Wes Anderson, Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for me.
Sure.
And who's to say? I'm not saying that it's not going to work out, because you better believe I'm going to try it again. And that's why I created the Ojai Short Film Fest. because short films are the future, and that's how people get together. That's how people rise up, and that's how people, get to that next level. And I kind of wanted to give people a platform to have that opportunity to get to the next level.
So that's a great segue to the next question I have here for you. Whenever you decided to make your own film festival, obviously a lot of it is about kind of like leveling the playing field for creatives and people who have good stories that they want to tell, but maybe don't understand the technical ways of doing that or making that happen, or know the right people, all that stuff. And so how would you say that the people who submitted films to your film festival, how would you say that the advancements of technology today have kind of paved the way for that next generation of creatives, and how did you where do you see that going in the future?
So, that goes back to like 2003, 2002. I graduated from film school, and I knew I wanted to make a movie, and I knew it was a
Oh, we lost you again there, sir. Darn it.
Where's your router? Is it there?
Yep, you just came back. I heard nothing after you said something about 2003.
Okay. So that goes back to 2003 when I graduated from film school, and I knew it was a rich man's sport. And if, like Christopher Nolan or the Coen brothers, or, insert independent filmmaker who's now the biggest Hollywood director, they all had family money or access to money.
Right.
It helped speed up their process. So I got into distribution and music distribution because I knew I need to figure out I was going to make my own movie one way or the other. And I needed to learn distribution. So I got into distribution. Well, what happened was I was distributing DVDs and CDs to, big artists, to places like Best Buy, Circuit City, FYE, Tower Records.
I remember Circuit City.
These were the places where, you could get brick and mortar content.
Right.
And I saw this thing coming up the rear, and it was iTunes, Apple iTunes. And I told this distribution company, everybody is going to be destroyed by iTunes because everything's going digital. Music's going to be the first to fall because it's very easy. It's a smaller file, and but there was things like Napster already.
Oh yeah, I remember Napster.
Where content was free. So I'm a futurist, and I'm always thinking about the future, and content pretty soon is going to be free. So how do you monetize that as a filmmaker? So, I shifted that company to all digital, and, was a part of that. And then I, made a movie, didn't come out, blah, blah, blah. And started at the bottom, and, been working my way up, and still not where I want to be, but, I feel like I'm making progress. There's no.
Oh,
the future is 5G.
Sorry, Aman, you cut out there again. You said
the future is 5G.
There we go. Okay.
And when 5G comes out, the movie industry is going to be the next to fall. So what that does is that opens up the door for independence. And so technology, now it's going to be all about who tells the best story. And so we're already seeing that happen a little bit with, the development, with film being obsolete and us moving into digital. And you can almost not tell, a normal person cannot tell the difference between film and digital.
Oh, no. No, it blows my mind whenever I'm like working with clients and stuff. Especially nowadays, like some of the cameras on people's cell phones, like if you know what you're doing with post-production, like you can make it look like a Hollywood, quality film if you're just shooting on your iPhone. It's crazy.
For sure. Soderbergh just did a whole movie on his iPhone X.
Oh, really? What was that?
I don't know the name of it,
Interesting.
but he was always, he was always into all that stuff. Um, Me, I like, certain cameras.
Sure. But
So
I mean, when it comes to, paving the way for new storytellers and stuff, how like talk a little bit about whenever you were making the Ojai Short Film Festival happen, like, what were just some of the practical steps that you had to take to do that? I mean, did you have people that were talking to you and saying, Aman, I want to get my film out, but I don't have any distributors, or they're not sure what to do. Like, I mean, what did that look like behind the scenes?
yeah, so I've always understood marketing and here's here's what happened was, anybody. So when iTunes came out, anybody can put their content on iTunes. So what separates you from the majors is marketing dollars. So I'm the same as Warner Brothers or Sony. I can put you on Hulu, Netflix, iTunes, whatever, get you into stores. But what separates me from the majors is marketing dollars. So technology has allowed us to close that gap for independence. And so you'll see the rise of independence because they're social media experts. So they have a good handle on social media. They know how to draw an audience to them using social media, and that costs nothing. All
Right.
it costs is your time. So if you can figure out a plan and a strategy using social media, you can close that gap and and you can monetize and be successful. Just as successful as any filmmaker with a major deal. Even before then, it was proven with in music with mixtapes, what they call mixtapes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So these guys who weren't signed were just as rich as major label artists, and in fact even more wealthy, because they were entrepreneurs and they had the entrepreneur attitude. And what they did was they would go to concerts and sell their mixtapes out of the trunk of their car, and they came into, major labels wanted to sign them, and they said, they came in with leverage, and they were like, we're not going to take your artist deal, we're going to take a distribution deal. And
Can you talk about the difference of what that would look like? I mean, I would have no concept of it, and most of the people watching probably wouldn't.
Yeah, so
Unless it's not something you want to talk about, that's fine too.
for sure, I'll give you an example. There was the largest selling female group of all time is that, God, what is the name of them? Anyway, there was a lady named Dawn Johnson who was a part of that group. I want to say Destiny's Child, but I think Beyonce was in Destiny, so I think it was the other one. So she wanted to meet me, so we met at Mel's Diner on Sunset Boulevard, and this was when I was in distribution at the time, and her friend said, "This is Dawn, and she's one of the biggest selling female artists of all time, and guess where she's living?" And I was like, "Where?" And she's like, "On my couch."
Wow.
So that's an artist deal.
Wow, 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 wow.
So a distribution deal is a percentage of the sale of the album goes to the goes to the artist. So that's the difference.
So it's basically like one-time fees or sales fees versus like you getting a percentage of the total kind of thing.
Well, so yeah, the distribution deal goes straight to the person, the artist, and then the artist cuts the checks for the down the line.
Right.
So it's a straight deal, whereas an artist deal has to go through management, and then all these people, the marketing people, blah blah blah. It's a negative cost, and
Right.
so there's all these negative costs to where there's nothing left over for the artist, and that was the record label, the record industry created this model to keep the artists poor, so that they're always having to make more records
Sure.
in order to keep
Well,
up.
yeah, I mean, it's like a planned obsolescence business model, basically.
Yeah. So they're game changers. And then with technology, there's independents who are like, why do I need you?
Yep.
I figured out marketing. That's what these social media influencers are. They've cut out everyone, and they have an audience. And so they're going to, so basically it's content directly to the consumer.
Right.
And that's where we are today, is content to consumer. And it's just figuring out how to make that happen. So, you can't compete with Sony and Warner Brothers because they have the marketing dollars, right? But we can close that gap,
Right,
independent, by using the tools at our disposal, which is Instagram, Facebook.
yeah, I mean, we basically have full scale production studios in our pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard I watched Hans Zimmer did a masterclass. I don't know if you're familiar with masterclass.com. Excellent resources.
Yeah.
But he said in his masterclass, he's like, you have to get over the idea that you can't make a Hollywood blockbuster sound on an iPad, because you can.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen people time and time again do that and rise up. I mean, there's this artist that was just murdered recently, and it's a really sad story, but I've just discovered him, and his name was XXX Tenacion, and he he is the biggest thing right now, and it was all through social media. I mean,
Right.
SoundCloud, so the tools are available to rise up. You just need to use them.
Right.
That's the secret, is use them. Just do it.
Right, and just kind of, and basically, like, if you have an idea, or you want to start a business, or you want to release an album, if you want to write a movie, and if you want to film a movie, if you want to do all of it on your own, like, the tools are literally at your fingertips, like, right now. Like, this moment, if you're watching this, like, right now.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And it's like, if you need, I guess, that would probably be a good segue into the next one. We've been on here about half an hour now, and I do have a couple other questions. And honestly, if any of you guys who are watching have any questions or whatever while we're talking, I can see all that. So please drop them in the comments there. We can see that, and we'll do our best to address those questions. But honestly, if you have anything specific that you want to talk about, like, don't hesitate to, grab the wheel here. So, I mean, is there anything specifically that's been on your mind that, as it pertains to kind of what are your next steps? Maybe talk about that a little bit, and kind of what you're working on now.
Mine?
Yeah. Sure.
Like, as a independent filmmaker, I'm always working on my craft, and working with people that are better than me to learn, and so that I can use them, because I'm always going to go back to that independent. That's where my heart lies. And so I'm putting together an independent film with some people in my community. It's just us getting together, making a movie, just like Reality Bites did, and just like Wes and Owen and Luke did with Bottle Rocket. So I'm doing the exact same thing. You're right. I could use a cell phone to tell the story, and so we have all the tools at our fingertips in order to make it happen. And the secret to writing is writing. So
take that to the bank, folks.
That's all it is, and that's what I'm doing.
Do you have like a daily routine, like whenever, or that you like to stick with, or one that you try to stick to? So
it's 10 hours a week.
Okay.
If you're gonna write a feature screenplay, you want to put 10 hours a week in. And after like 3 months, you end up with a rough draft, and then you constantly refine that rough draft. And that's it. It's 10 hours a week, but actually that's quite a bit. With everything we have going on in our lives, 10 hours a week is a lot to dedicate, and it is a dedication.
Right. So do you try to do that first thing in the morning? I know a lot of people, a lot of creatives will like get up super early, or either that or stay up super late. Mary, I know if you're watching, Mary and I tend to be night owls. Like, you know, we're up sometimes 2, 3 in the morning, me and my team, and, you know, just a lot of the people that I know. But what about you, man?
You know, I just get it in wherever I can fit it in.
Okay.
You know, as a freelance, you know, production guy, I can, you know, sometimes I have 3 days off, so I might fit it in those 3 days, or just bits and pieces. But I get it in where I can. I wish I was a night owl, but you know, I definitely can't do.
No. So when do you usually turn in for the night? Do you kind of have like a, you know, work on client work and then work on your own stuff and then call it a night, or what's that look like? I'm always just fascinated by just kind of daily routine type stuff.
Yeah, sure. You know, different days I dedicate to different projects. I have a documentary, a naval documentary that I'm working on, and so you know, maybe after I'm work with that crew, I'll fit in a couple hours on the project. You know, what you're also in develop. You know, the first phase is development. So development is you meeting with your team and you're going over ideas, and then you're like, yeah, the idea sucks. And so maybe it takes, you know, it took us a couple months to kind of get the story. And so once you have the story, then you move into the writing phase, and you know, you can outline or do how whatever your process is. But my process is just writing. And there's a great boot camp. It's this screenwriters boot camp, and all the major Hollywood screenwriters go through this process. And so I went through the process, and I used the process.
There's a excellent book. Let me grab it here. Make it look like I'm grabbing it from underneath this desk. For those of you who don't know, this isn't actually a cartoon. I'm in a green screen room right now, so I can.
I am too. This is not real.
Yeah, this is Aman. This is a screen that you're watching this on. You don't have to take everything you see seriously that's on a screen. Just a public service announcement. But I was recommended this book. It's called The Writer's Journey: Mythic Structure for Writers by Christopher Vogler. Have you read this one?
I have not.
This is an excellent book that that our friend Rodney recommended. You know Rodney Vance.
Mm-hmm.
So he recommended this to me a number of months ago, and it talks all about Joseph Campbell's hero's journey kind of thing, but in the context of what it's like for writers and how writers can apply that to their creativity and to their films and their books, and, you know, even their own like online content. I would say if he would write it nowadays, he would update it for that kind of thing. But so is that so for the screenwriters bootcamp thing? You know, what would you say was like the number one thing that you took away from that?
The secret to writing is writing.
Excellent. So Nike has it right, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Just do it.
And on that, actually, that's a great segue. Obviously, we're talking about branding in the, you know, I look at branding as basically everything that you're doing that represents you and your brand. So it's not just your logo. So like I've got the logo on my shirt. You're wearing a Star Wars shirt, so you're marketing, you know, Star Wars.
I'm in my pajamas.
Yeah. So I'm wearing my pajama shorts right now. Funny story. I heard actually about on that note. The nice thing is like I could not even be wearing pants, and you guys would just never know. It's the magic of television, right? But I heard that an actor named Glenn Morshower, I heard him speak one time, and he was talking about how he was super nervous going to interviews, and not just interviews, but like auditions and stuff. And so he had one of his mentors tell him to, I think it was like, put bologna in his underwear and then Jello in his shoes. And to go to the audition like that, and he was like, why would I do that? It's insane, whatever. It's like, trust me, you will stop thinking about how anxious you are, and all you'll be able to think about is the fact that you're standing in front of this person with bologna in your underwear and Jello in your shoes. And he said that it completely just obliterated the anxiety around all of it, and then he just started landing deals and landing roles like crazy.
That's amazing. And yeah, exactly. There's no rules to the game, and you know, find what works for you is exactly what I preach.
Right. And you know, for you, like, whenever you were doing the film festival, you know, what did that look like from a branding perspective? It's like, I know that you did your logo, and then what did you do after that? Like, what did you put that on? Did you put it on, you put it on social media? I saw, you put it on your website. Did you do like business cards, flyers? Like, how did you get the word out? And you know, with your experience as a distributor, obviously you have all these ideas and these channels for kind of like street team marketing. That doesn't require necessarily a whole bunch of cash, so kind of like a guerrilla marketing campaign. So what did that look like for you at the film festival?
Yeah. So as far as the film festival, so you know, I've always wanted to create my own fest, and you know, I have relationships in Los Angeles to where I never really had to attend film festivals. Because I knew like anything I wanted to make, I could you know, people go there for distribution, but now it's become like this, you know, like a party atmosphere. And, you know, so I started attending the markets, and the Cannes Film Festival is the #1 market in the world. And that's where buyers and sellers go. And that's where I wanted to be. But Cannes is not something that was affordable for me. So the second largest in the world was the Santa Monica American Film Market. And the reason why you don't hear about that market is because there's no parties attached. There's no glitz and glam. There's no, you know, Hollywood celebrity. It's just straight buying and selling of movies. And that's exactly 6 months after Cannes. And so what I would do is I used to sneak in to American Film Market because I couldn't afford the you know, the $1,500 pass.
Right.
And so I'd sneak in, and I, you know, every year, and I learned from filmmakers like Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino and people that would sit on the panels. I'd go to the conferences, and you know, one thing that I got out of that was, you know, you have to do whatever you can to make your movie. If you come from the world, if you come from the side that we come from, which is we weren't born into money, and we don't have access. We didn't have access, but we wanted to make a movie. So what they would say, you know, they take it to the extreme and say lie, cheat, and steal, whatever it takes.
Right.
But what they mean by that is, you know, figure out how to shoot without permits if you have to. You know, you want a shot on Rodeo Drive with them walking down Rodeo Drive. You don't have the money to get a permit. You need the shot. How are you going to get it? So the way you're going to get it is you're going to put the camera on a rolling, you know, inside a van, and you're going to ride up right next to them, and you're going to open up the rolling door of the van, and you're going to basically drive next to them walking on Rodeo Drive, and that's how you get the shot.
Right.
And that's basically what they meant by lie, cheat, and steal, or do whatever it takes to make a movie.
Right. Just kind of just get creative with what you have where you're at, and don't feel like you have to jump through so many different hoops that might not actually even be there. And it's funny, like, you know, on that note, there was a project I was working on a number of years ago. Didn't really go anywhere. Had some friends and family that kind of were watching, but similar thing where I would like interview people that I kind of met that I thought were interesting, but the branding on it wasn't right, and it just wasn't working for me. But in that process, one of the things that I learned and was kind of like you said, that a lot of the opportunities that are there, like, people just don't know they're there because they don't even try.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, what was it? I think it was around the time that the Internet Movie Database was promoting, like, oh, a free 7-day trial for our, you know, for their pro thing where you could get contact information for producers and celebrities and stuff, right? because I was looking for people to interview for this project. And it was right around the time that Iron Man 3 was coming out. And so I was like, I want to see if I can get a hold of at least Robert Downey Jr.'s agent, just to see if I can get an interview, you know. Because I'm like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, I know that these people have cell phones and email addresses, and that I can probably figure out how to get a hold of them somehow. I ended up going on the IMDb and picking that 7-day free trial. And so it gives you all these, you know, contact information, and it says like it might not be accurate, whatever, but it's kind of like, you know, just a database of information. So ended up finding out where Robert Downey Jr. was being represented at the time, and I just went on Google and looked up that agency, and it said who his agent was on the list. It didn't have a phone number or anything, but who he was represented by. And I called the number that was on Google, and the lady answered and said, you know, such and such agency. And I just asked for the guy's name. I was like, oh, such and such, please. And she's like, right away, sir. And just immediately patches me through to this guy. And I was totally not prepared for it. I'm like, oh my God, like I was expecting an answering machine. And he just literally picks up. He's like, hello. And I'm just like deer in headlights instantly. Because I'm like, what do I even say? I was not even prepared to talk to a real person. And I just kind of fumbled over my words and asked him, I was like, oh, you know, do you represent Robert Downey? And he said, yeah, what can I do for you, kid? And I'm like, I did, you know, just kind of fumbled over my words again. And then I asked him, I was like, well, you know, I'm doing this project. I'd love to interview him for this project. and he's like, oh yeah, you know, he's been booked solid for a long time. And he was super cool about it. And we talked for probably like 5 or 10 minutes. But one of the things that he said, I'll never forget. He's like, yeah, you know what? I basically said to him, I was like, honestly, sir, I apologize. Like I wasn't actually expecting to get a hold of you. And he laughed and he's like, yeah, you know, it's a lot easier to get a hold of us and work with people here than people think. And a lot of people just don't try.
Yeah, you know why that is?
Go ahead.
The reason why is because everybody is afraid of missing out on the next big thing.
How do you mean? Expand on that.
So they make themselves accessible because they know I could possibly have that next Oscar-winning script, and they want that opportunity to at least know about it.
Right.
You know, so you know, nobody wants to miss out on the next big thing, and so everybody is like, feed me. What do you got? What do you got? And so that's why that's why IMDb Pro, you know, that's why everybody wants their information out on who does what. And I'm the same way. I'm like afraid. I'm like, you know, if you got a project, tell me about it. You know, yeah, everybody has that fear of missing out on the next big thing. So everybody's accessible.
And so, you know, if you're watching this, like, and you like we've said a couple times now, like if you have ideas or you want to make ideas happen, like you have to be your biggest evangelist. Would you agree? Like,
yeah. And it's also, you know, follow your gut. You know, if your gut is like, this is the one, it's probably the one, you know. But if your gut's saying, you know, it's the one, but, you know, I need to make money or whatever, make money, but don't give up. Yeah, I'm not saying give up, you know, but it just might not be the right time.
Right.
And so, you know, but you always want to have something in hand. And that's what I tell people. Like people.
What do you mean by that?
So people come to me like, you know, that they've got the next big Netflix series, right?
Oh, sure.
But they only have one of the 12 episodes written. So we can move forward and we can try to pitch your project, but the question is what's the next, what do you have on hand? Like, where are the other 11? So you make a short film and nobody wants that short film. People want what do you have next? If they love your short film, they're not going to be like, oh, I love your short film, I want your short film. They're going to be like, we love your short film, what do you have on hand? So that's the whole point of making short films, is you use it as a calling card. You know, you want to be prepared for the for the momentum, this is a business and industry about momentum. So if you do a short film, and the whole point of doing the short film was to show that you're capable of making a feature film, well, people are going to ask, like, what's next? What do you have on hand? And you say, I have this right here. It's a feature film. And they're like, let me read it. That is a success. That's a successful way to play the industry.
So when you say like have it on hand, do you mean like finished feature film, or like script?
Yeah, like what's your point? Like what is your point of making a short film? You got to be ready to go, in this business. I've got like 10 projects that are just ready to go.
Right.
So when somebody says, when a agent says, we like that script, what else do you have on hand? I'm like, I got 10 other projects. What do you want? What are you interested in? What is your talent interested in? What can we attach them to? You know what I mean? Like, this is how the industry works. People, nobody's gonna like I said from the beginning, there's no rules to the game, but at the same time, there's a certain way to play the game. Like,
there's like an etiquette.
Yeah, take you back to the Apatow, and that whole, any name person who was discovered on street corner. Okay, there's no rules to the game, but don't wait for that. You got to be prepared, and it took me a little bit to figure that part out, because I wanted to be that guy that was discovered on the street corner,
right?
For the longest time,
So what changed that for you?
Just the school of hard knocks.
Sure.
It just the sitting around and waiting just never happened. And so that's kind of how the Ojai Short Film Fest came about. Was I don't want to, I'm not interested in the social gathering, the parties. I'm interested in making things happen. And so I'm going to create my own fest, to where I can help people. I can give people a platform and make it a possibility to transform their lives, and transform my life at the same time by, I want people to be successful, because you know what, that comes back around, and I kind of help facilitate that. And that feeds my ego and my, everything I need, to keep moving. Stuff like that just keeps, gives me talking points, gives me stories to tell.
Sure.
I like telling stories. And so I create these opportunities for people to, to level up so that I can tell these stories.
Right. So whenever you're, first of all, thank you. I mean, in all honesty, like, it's a really cool thing to meet with people who not only are doing their own creative thing because they love it, but they're also like, you know what, like, I've been through the school of hard knocks. I know a thing or two about this, and I know people who I care about who would benefit from this information, and that there's millions of artists and people out there who could be spared, 5, 10, 15 years of struggle just because of the different advances in technology and the way that we're all can collaborate now, and that people are realizing it doesn't have to be about this, like, who's the best and who's the greatest all the time, and it's more of like there's more than enough to go around for everybody, because we're not competing, we're not taking from anybody else, we're creating something entirely new. And so, what was it like for you, like, after you kind of settled on your logo for the film festival? Because I love that process where it's like, wow, yeah, you know what, this started out as a sketch on a napkin, and now it's like I'm wearing it on a t-shirt, or I'm standing in front of a banner with my friends with the logo behind it. Like, what does that feeling do for you?
Yeah, so let me take you through the process.
Sure.
So basically, what you want to do is kind of surround yourself with people who are better than you, number one. So, okay, so the idea was, hey, short form content is the future. I want to be ahead of the curve, and I want to create a fest that's strictly short form content, because pretty soon that is going to take over feature films and blah blah blah. It's going to be, that's going to be where the majors are. And so I wanted to be ahead of the curve. So what I did was I surrounded myself with people who were smarter than me. And the first thing that I did was, I came to you actually, and and I told you, and I said, I'm starting a short film fest, and you helped me actually. You were a big part of, and I wanted to thank you. You were a big part of the branding and the visual pieces of this. You helped me create the face of Ojai Short Film Fest, and that helped, and so that helped me move forward. I'm not going to say that I'm the only visionary, because that's not true.
Sure.
I don't work like that. Like, what I do is, what I learned, and this goes back to filmmaking. This is a little lesson for filmmakers. People think being a great director is like knowing composition and knowing shots and knowing cameras and knowing how to block actors. That's actually not true, because a great director is someone who can bring people together and get them to help them complete a mission.
That is excellent. Wait, say that again. A great director is someone who can bring people together and
to help accomplish a mission, right? Because a great director, that's what they do. That you're the captain of a ship. You're the CEO of a company. And you're getting people all on the same page and moving in the same direction. And on the independent level, guess what? You don't have all the resources that a CEO has. You don't have the money to pay people. So that's how you find the great directors, is somebody who can, hey, I've got an idea. I want to make a movie with a cell phone. Will you help me? And you get all this, you end up making a movie with a cell phone. That's a director. That's who you want to hire, is somebody. He got an editor, he got a cinematographer, he got a lighting guy, he got actors, just based off of who he was and what he had to say and what his vision was, and they followed that vision. That's a great director. And that has nothing to do with composition. That has nothing to do with blocking actors. That has nothing to do with really anything at all, except that you can get people to follow you off of a cliff. And so that's what I'm looking for in directors.
So great quote for a segue into a story of yours that I just recently heard about. You mentioned that before aerial videography and drones and things, that to get certain shots that you would do what?
Yeah. So
so talk about this. This is a great story.
Okay, cool. So
because you mentioned the thing about getting, as a director, you get people to follow you off a cliff, or in this case, hanging out of a helicopter.
this guy was really good, and the reason why he failed was because he was bipolar. But basically, he had a TV series, and we were working on the series, and but he could convince you to do anything, and so he convinced a Vietnam. So before camera drones were accessible, the only way to get aerial shots was a helicopter with a gimbal on it. So it was a huge helicopter, and it had a gimbal. So the way guerrilla filmmakers work is, this guy, he convinced a Vietnam helicopter pilot to land on our building and take us.
Where? Oh, and to tape you?
This is downtown LA.
Okay.
And so we jumped in the helicopter, and we're hanging out with cameras out of the side of the helicopter. And this Vietnam helicopter pilot was crazy. He would fly in between buildings. I don't even know what I definitely know it wasn't legal.
Yeah.
But we're hanging out the side with our seatbelt, just with our seatbelts and like this, and the camera's out and we're going between buildings downtown LA. And so that's a great director. That's a good example of a good director.
Did the director and you guys get any notices from the FAA or anything?
You know what? I'm not really sure, because he ended up the show never came out. And
Sure. Wow. That's crazy, man. But I mean, I think it's a good indicator though of like, you know, it takes a certain kind of real intentional passion for a certain kind of art form or a certain craft to even be willing to do stuff like that. And at least for me, I find that I feel like a lot of people have lost that. It's like, you know, we're up and we've just lost Aman. That's frustrating. Let's see here. Well, while I'm trying to bring him back, if you guys have any questions, then please let me know. We have some technical difficulties here. Mary, are you still there? Any thoughts, questions, comments? Let me see if I can get him back here. We'll see. Might have to just wrap it up here because he kind of disappeared there. Let's see. Sorry about this, folks. Quick tip, if you are doing anything like this, make sure that you have a solid internet connection. Wi-Fi is not super reliable. Let me try calling him on my phone, and I can hold up him to the mic if I have to. Here we go. Let's see. Speakerphone. Mary, can you hear the audio here? My phone ringing. It looks my actual microphone's over here. This is just a cartoon one. I don't know where he is on location. No. Mary just asked, do you know where he is on location? I do not.
You have reached the voicemail.
Well, folks, I'm not sure what happened there. I will message him. I don't know. He may have hit some kind of data cap or something, which is a great time for a public service announcement that data caps are stupid. Oh, here we go. Is he back? Admit Aman. Oh, are we there?
Sorry about that.
You're back. Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, Aman's back, so we can continue. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So, I think we can probably wrap up here shortly, unless you know, I have a couple other questions, but you were talking about how before camera drones, you had to basically hang out of helicopters if you wanted to get a certain type of shot. And I was just saying how, you know, whenever nowadays especially, like, you have to have some kind of real gusto and real desire and passion to for some kind of craft in order to really make it happen, because there's inevitable setbacks and technical glitches and, you know, relationship issues and life stuff. So like for anyone who's watching, I would say, you know, a good question that I would ask, and I'm curious your thoughts on, you know, what advice would you give to anyone who's wanting to bring their own ideas to life and they're kind of on that fence? Maybe they're like looking out the helicopter door and they're like, what the hell am I doing? Like, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, I would say surround yourself with people who can bring value to your project. You know, nobody does it alone, and a great director or great filmmakers, they you know, they bring people together on a mission. And you know, most of the time this is, you know, you have to be careful because it's super important. You know, when I'm dealing with filmmakers and you know, consulting, you know, just helping them and just critiquing them, you know, I too, you know, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I too need to be, you know, need help, and I have a lot of advisors that help me with my career, and you just have to be open. And so, you know, be specific on what you want to do. You know, for example, there's a lot of directors that show me their reels, and it's got like commercials on there and music videos and films and documentaries.
You mean like in your portfolio kind of thing?
yeah, in their reel, right? And it's
Yep.
like, okay, you want to be a director and you want to get signed to an agent, but I'm going to be confused if I'm the agent. I'm like, well, you know, are you a commercial director or are you a documentary filmmaker? You know, like, because commercial agents, they only want to see commercials. So why do you have all this other stuff on, you know, on your reel? And it's because they get advice like, oh, well, no, I was told to put all my best stuff on a reel, but
Sure.
it's like,
Oh yeah, I hear that all the time in our industry. I've struggled with it myself. I'm like, okay, well, do I show my web design stuff? Do I show my music? Do I show my art? You know,
yeah, exactly. And so I struggle with it as well because you know I freelance, so I make all types of projects, and so that's why I don't really have any presence on the web is because I'm not really sure. Like, you know, luckily I'm busy enough to where I don't have to have a presence, but I'm not really sure. You know, I'm still struggling with it myself. Like, how do I show myself? You know, how specifically do I show myself? You know,
sure.
but if your desire is to be a commercial filmmaker and you don't have many commercials, well, guess what? You've got like a cell phone. You know, just shoot, and tell some stories and show some examples, and just fill up that you know, do as much as you can with the tools that you have, and be specific on what you want. What is it that you want? You know what I mean?
Right. So how would you, so for people who struggle figuring out how to even answer that question, because so much of, you know, at least for my upbringing and a lot of my friends, we were always kind of like looking for permission, right? Whether it's from our teachers, our parents, our church leaders, or, you know, whatever, school, all kinds of stuff. And so what I hear you saying is just kind of continuing to echo what you said before about like there's no rules to the game, but there is kind of an etiquette. And so like, you know, learning how to stop asking for permission and give yourself permission to create what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And you also want to give you yeah, exactly. Like, and also you gotta. I understand. We know we all want to do different things, and we don't want to be put in a box. But if you want to, you know, be specific. So, what is it that you want? If you want to get signed to an agent, and the agent represents commercials, well, only have a presence, show that you're 100% committed to commercials. And maybe that's just a stepping stone to feature films, like a lot of filmmakers, you know, but show that you are committed to being a commercial director, you know, and put the other stuff, you know, bury that kind of to the side and only pull that out when you need to pull that other stuff out, because that other stuff, maybe it's where your heart is, but it's not money makers, right? So maybe it's like documentaries or, you know, independent art films, right? So only pull that stuff out when it needs to be pulled out. So your presence is a commercial presence. It's commercial, you know, like commercials, spec commercials, music videos that you've directed for bands that you know, all that ties together. And then this art stuff, you know, just have that on the side. And when that meeting takes place, then you can show that, you know, but you don't want to show that as your web presence, as your identity, because that's not, you know, if you want to make a living, present yourself with the projects that pay your bills,
Right.
you know, and that could possibly pay your bills, and then have that your heart stuff on the side and pull that out whenever you're in those meetings or want to show people, you know, that you do this other stuff, but that's not how you want to identify yourself. That's not how you want to brand yourself. You know.
Really
I think
good
that's
advice.
a good strategy, and that's you know that's my advice to a lot of people these days. You know, for example, I've got a cousin who is graduated from high school. He wants to be a model. He's got, you know, the height and was an athlete and stuff like that. And
Sure.
showed me his comp card. Well, you know, I sent him. I work with a lot of models, and so I sent him their comp cards, and I was like, look, just do this, shoot all the time, you know, it's just like being an athlete. You have to practice your craft,
Right.
and you know, and just keep working. You know, keep working at it, and shoot wherever and whenever you can, and with any photographer, and practice being in front of the camera, and that's how you rise up. And that's
The secret to writing is writing. The secret to filmmaking is filmmaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Andrew Meir has just joined. He said, "What's up? Popped in before I got out of cell service for a bit during lunch." So Andrew Meir says hello. So hello there, sir. I met Andrew through a Gary Vaynerchuk group on Facebook. Are you familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk?
I am. He's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I actually connected with him, and that's actually Andrew's a great example of what we've been talking about, guys. Like, you know, the opportunities for you to connect with people who have similar interests and similar visions. If you have an idea that you want to bring to life, like Aman has been saying, like, you have to be the captain of that ship, because you're the one who has that idea kind of floating around in your head. Like, for me, you know, whenever I'm working on my books, which actually you can pre-order today at scienceofgettingrich.info. See how smooth that was? This is actually a book that I've been working on for a while now, and I'm just about ready to publish it, hopefully by the end of this month. I said that last month, but I found more typos. So, so on that note, guys, like, you have to be the one who is steering and creating and making those ideas happen. But maybe you're not a great filmmaker, but maybe you're a good writer. Like Aman said, make it a point to surround yourself with people who can help complement the areas where you're not strong. Like, there's so many people out there now that literally, like, you could go in a Facebook group and say, hey, I'm looking for someone in this particular area. I'm doing a film shoot. I can't pay you, but if you're literally just trying to get started, like, one, we can hang out and get to know each other, and who knows what it could turn into. I'm not saying do a bunch of spec work for free all the time. Like Aman said, make sure to get your bills paid. But if it's a passion project, if it's something you really believe in, like this show right here, right now, like, I'm doing this because I like interviewing creative people. I like connecting with people who have stories to tell and have attained various levels of succeeding at their own dreams, because you find common themes. You find basically everybody has that spark, that kind of call to do something special, whatever Joseph Campbell would call it, the call to adventure. And a lot of it really boils down to, are you going to answer that? Are you going to lean forward and like Aman did, say, you know what? Yeah, I've been at this long enough, and I want to do my own thing, and do what you got to do to make it happen. And I mean, with us publishing our books, with us doing this show, this is all self-taught stuff, like YouTube videos and asking people who are experts. And, you know, I don't claim to be an expert on anything. I'm constantly learning. And there's so much out literally at your fingertips that you don't have to just binge on social media. Like, you can use the internet to create awesome stuff, and you can monetize it. So, like, Aman, I mean, have you, after the film fest, I mean, what kind of opportunities did that open up for you?
Yeah, so the film fest opened up a lot of opportunities. So what, you know, going back to, you know, my first phase was talking to you, right? And I got an idea of, thank you. I mean, actually, you gave me a whole vision of how I wanted my web presence to look, and the logo, and it looks amazing. You know, that's thanks to you. You kind of ignited that portion of it, right?
Sure.
And then it comes to so circling back to surrounding myself with people that can add to the value. So I knew a guy who had a short content distribution company, and so I partnered with him on the project on the Ojai Short Film Fest. And so not only does this give filmmakers an opportunity to be a part of the film fest, but it also gives them an opportunity to get their short form content out to the world and also monetize it.
Right.
So there's two parts to it. So now the film fest has even more value, right? So I keep adding value by bringing in people who add value to the project. And and then from that point, was the submission process, right? And going to Film Freeway and getting people to submit the films. But the purpose of the fest was to give people a platform to rise up and eventually, either monetize their short films, or what do you have on hand, right? So to get exposure, so that one executive could say, you know what, I really liked your short film. What do you have on hand? And that term to that question right there is super, super important to me and any filmmaker who attends festivals, and who wants to have their screenplay sold. Is how do you get your screenplay sold? You show something, and then the buyers, they want to know. They don't want to buy what's already made. They want what's next.
Right.
They don't want to miss out on the next big thing. So. Right. So what do you have on hand is really, really important. And having the opportunity to have that question asked at my film fest is my goal. And so I wanted to invite studio execs and network execs and investors, and I also wanted to open it up to musicians and artists and give them that platform as well. So I did, and have people in the room, and have everybody in the room, whether you're a beginning filmmaker, you shot a film on your cell phone, and you just want to be in the room with the big executives and the big filmmakers. I want to give you that opportunity, and that's exactly what I did, and I succeeded in doing that. And so I want to continue to do that. And that's giving filmmakers the opportunity to be in the room and to have the opportunity to rise up and monetize their work, and not only monetize their work, but sell a film or sell a television series. So that's the goal.
That's awesome, man. And it's a super, super noble goal. And if there's anything that I can do to continue helping push that forward, please let me know. I actually saw, the whole theme of this call today was launching your own events. And basically what it boils down to from a branding perspective, guys, at least the way I look at it, is that whenever you're launching your own events, you are the creative director. You are the one who's kind of piloting that ship, and you get to decide how you show up. I didn't have to run this green screen thing. Like, look, my hand gets cut off here because that's the edge of my webcam. I didn't have to run this by a big board of directors. I didn't have to get permission. That's like, I'm just having fun here and testing this stuff out, and you can do the same. Mary said, any advice for getting a series pilot, some investors for a full season? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, like I said, one, I can't speak for other film festivals, but I'll speak for mine because we just had one, and it's, based off of just facts.
Yeah.
So basically what you would do is you would get into the room, and you would go up to a network executive, and you would say, hi, my name is Mary. I have a television series. Now,
it's that simple, Mary. Just do it. And Mary does have a television series. For anyone who sees this, it's called Finding Harmony. You can connect with Mary at marybeofficial.com.
And the network executive is two things are gonna go across his mind. One is, what have you done? And I don't want to miss out on the next big thing, so I'm going to hear you.
Right.
So going back to number one is, what have you done? I made this short film that was in this fest right here that you saw. It was called, Big Apple or whatever. And he's like, oh, I really like that. I see, you've got all the components. You can tell a great story. You can put a good team together. And basically short form content is a sprint. Short films are a sprint. Like commercials are a sprint, music videos are a sprint. Feature films and television series are a marathon. And so if you can run a sprint, you can probably run a marathon. And so that's the idea. And so it's all about just getting in the room. And so any opportunity you can get into a room, you want to be in that room. And so that's my advice to getting your series, having the opportunity to have your series made.
Well, that goes, I would say that goes back to what you've been saying the whole time too, is surrounding yourself with people who are doing what you want to be doing. And even if that's like you follow them on social media and comment on a bunch of stuff and engage in actual conversation with them, and you know, they might not respond, but they might, or you might connect with other people who are in similar industries or wanting to build their own thing. And so, I mean, I've had that happen so many times where like I've met people that ended up being either clients or business partners or, you know, creative partners just in the comments thread of some, you know, author or speaker that I look up to or that I've learned a lot from, because you can kind of see that and resonate with people who are doing more than like, this is a great photo. Like, you know, it's like you look for the other storytellers and the other people who are building. And by doing that, that's, at least in my experience, like working with, you know, larger name authors and speakers and stuff, that's how you get in those rooms, is you show up and you're ready to like help and add value to the room that you're in.
Exactly. And so going back to Mary's question, which is, you know, how do I get a full series funded, is, you know, be honest with where you are. So I'm just going to use myself as an example. Okay. So I have a television series, and it's me, Aman Segal. Well, I know what I need in order to get it made, right? I need to attach bigger producers, number one. I need to make sure that the show Bible is complete, so that when they ask to see the show Bible, it's done.
I don't know that term, so other people might not either.
So a show Bible is basically, you know, a breakdown of the show. So it's kind of like there's a treatment, for example, or a summary of what the show's about, and then it has the characters in the show, and it has a kind of breakdown of who the characters are, and maybe you've attached some talent to the show, so you can put, you know, I've got Johnny Depp attached, I've got, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow. So you've got your character breakdown in the show Bible. You've got your talent wish list. You've got, but most importantly is you've got the episodes done. Mm-hmm. So you've got the breakdown of the episodes, and it shows the arc of the show, and that's the Bible basically. Mm-hmm. And it tells everybody you show it to your vision of the show and where it goes in the story arc, because that's really important. You know, and then you know where season 2 goes or season 3. A lot of people wait for development money in order to complete this. I highly, you know, if you're on, you know, if you're like me, I would do all this work without I would invest my own money and make it a deferred cost. And so you get paid back when the show gets picked up. I wouldn't wait for development money, because you could be waiting for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
You just gotta put in the work. And so that's a show Bible. So you have a show Bible, and that's what you want to step into the room with. You want to give people an idea of what the show is, and be professional about it. So meeting somebody in a room and saying, "Hi, my name is Aman Segal, and I have a television series," they're going to say, "Great,
show me."
Yeah, you know, who's attached,
right?
And show, you know, and if for me, Aman Segal, I'd probably get a bigger production company attached, and so I'd probably take a meeting with production companies. And, you know, whether it's through nepotism or a contact or whatever, get them attached. And now you have clout and value, and now you're in the game. Me, Aman Segal, going in by myself, that's a hard sell.
Right. So in terms of, you know, it really just kind of boils down to add value wherever you go. Make it a point to constantly be working on your craft, and be prepared for the momentum, and set up your system, set up your, you know, make sure that you're I mean, for you as a freelancer, like, did you register your own business? Did you, like, what did that look like on a practical level? Because a lot of people, they're just kind of, you know, playing around at it. But obviously when you decide, okay, I need to like make money doing this or whatever it is, or I want to, you kind of have to set up those systems on the back end, like bank accounts and, you know, tax numbers and all that stuff. So, I mean, is that something that you ended up doing, or what did that look like?
Yeah, you know, you have different LLCs for different projects because you have different people tied to different projects. So you have multiple LLCs, you know, and then you can have your own LLC. And what you want to do, you know, this is a very litigious business, and a lot of people, you know, they always, and that's the problem. And so that's a big problem with the independent world is like you have all these people that are trying to rise up together, but then at the same time they're tearing each other down because, you know, they feel they weren't treated fairly.
Right.
And when you, and that's the problem. And so the strategy is it's a collaboration process, and you want to be able to collaborate with people. And if your gut tells you this person is bad for your team, trust your gut, because in the end, I know you're desperate to make a show or a movie, but in the end, they're going to be the ones that are going to tear you down. And so you want to, not only do you want to surround yourself with the right people and people who add value, but you want to surround yourself with people who know how to collaborate. Otherwise, you're going to be starting over again like I did.
Right.
And I don't want you guys to have to go through that.
Right. That's excellent advice. Mary asked, what kinds of people do you think are ideal to get in the room with? Forgive my ignorance. This is fairly new to me.
Well, my question to her is, what kind of show does she have?
Right. Yeah, Mary, I mean, how would you describe the show that you have? I mean, if you had like a, you know, an elevator pitch for it. I know what it's about, and I've you know, been talking with you about it, and I think it's an awesome idea. I'm super excited. And you guys, if you haven't, you can check out, I think it was Branding 102 that I did with Mary. So I'll definitely put a link to that.
So what kind of people do you think are ideal to get in the room with? So I would say first, have your show Bible done. But you can take meetings at the same time and start to meet people and feel them out at the same time. That's what I do. It's a music docuseries. Okay, cool. So I would say have your show Bible done. Who are some of the artists that you want to feature in the music? Are they independents? And then what I would do is, you know, try to find communities that that are interested in your docuseries, right? So like and so thanks to technology and social media, we can easily access, it doesn't cost us any money to connect with people. And that our whole business is about connections. Yep. And so you can connect with people online very, very easily. You can go direct to artists, yep. You know, through their social media. Trust me, they will get the message. Why? Because they are afraid of missing out on the next big thing. We're all afraid of that.
Yep.
If you have that mentality, you can reach anybody. I know, you know, if I wanted to reach, you know, Halle Berry, I know exactly. You know, I'll wait at the Beverly Hills Hotel if I have to, or whatever, at the bar. You know, because I want to give her the screenplay, because I want to give her the opportunity to miss out on the next big thing.
Right. I think my wife brings it up all the time. There's it might have been Anne Hathaway. I think it was Anne Hathaway. She had won an Academy Award, and like it was in an interview after, and they were like, you know, what's next, whatever. And she's like, are you kidding? I'm terrified that I'll never get work again. Like, because like you said, people are afraid of missing that next big thing, and that they'll just not be ready for it or whatever.
Yeah. So going back to Mary's, you know, docuseries, yeah. What type of people would be ideal to get in the room with? And so I think the type of people that would be ideal getting into the room with is, one, it's a docuseries. It's all over the world. So it sounds like it's a travel doc series. So one, you know, how are your relationships with travel agencies? Because now the industry, we can do branded content. Content is not, you don't have to do it the traditional way. You could get a travel agency to finance your entire trip.
That's a really good idea.
You've got the camera, you've got the editing, you've got the crew, you've got the show. You're going in with a lot of leverage, and so you want to get a brand to finance the show, for example. Right. So maybe a travel agency would be interested because it's just a travel show. You're going to all these places. Imagine if the show was sponsored by Aman Segal Travel Agency. I would be interested in your show because you're going all over the world. You're going to get an audience because it's about music, and that's going to, drive eyeballs to my company, right, which is my travel agency. And I don't really have to do anything. I just have to write a check. That's all I have to do, and I get a hell of a lot of exposure all over the globe.
Right. And then that's a marketing write-off for you.
Yeah. So finding a brand that would be interested in financing is who I'd get into the room with. There's brands there's clothing brands, right? It's a travel show. So there's Patagonia, there's North Face, there's Nike, there's.
Oh yeah, yep.
The other thing is it's a music show. So, and you want to get into the room, and you're probably in California. So I would say Red Bull, Monster, energy drinks, because it's a travel show and you need energy.
My sister works for Red Bull, so I can make that connection.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? So, but you want to be ready you only get one chance. So you don't want to go in, I'm married, I've got a show. You want to go in, I'm married, this is my team, and this is what I'm doing. So you want to be prepared for that you only get one chance with brands. And then also you're a woman. It's a travel show. I'm sure there's products like makeup, beauty. There's hair dryers. There's straighteners. All the things. There's garment steamers. So these are all brands that have money, and they need So here's the thing. Brands need content for their social media these days. And so that's opened up that's given filmmakers like myself an opportunity to create content that wasn't there before. In early 2000, these opportunities did not exist.
Right.
So brands need content, and they're kind of running out of ideas. And so
it's so true. It's really true.
So basically align yourself with a brand, and there's many, many brands, and you can align yourself with multiple brands. So this show could be brought to you by, a lipstick, a hair dryer, a clothing company, and a travel agency. So, and you can break it up into segments. If you're going to different countries, you can sell sponsorships, per segment. And a lot of people go towards crowdfunding, and I generally stay away from it because there are all these funding opportunities that are available to filmmakers, and it's just breaking it up and going out there and taking the meetings. And you don't even have to spend money taking these meetings these days. You can do Skype, you can do Facebook, you can do a phone call. So you can qualify people, and if they're interested, spend the money, make the trip. A $200 plane ticket to close a $10,000 deal because they were interested over the phone is a good risk to take. And it takes less time than crowdfunding, and it'll get you
work too,
because now you aligned yourself with an audience of 3 million people versus raising $30,000 for crowdfunding, and you've only aligned yourself with 300 people who've put in $100 each or whatever. So
the buy-in's higher too, and the value. They want to see you succeed, because if you succeed, they succeed. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, it's a win-win too, because they get content. That they normally have to pay $100,000 to a production company for. They're paying Mary $10,000 to go to Croatia and get some really cool shots of you know, just like rock and roll and like a cool band, and she's wearing our sunglasses.
Right.
You know, I would take that if I had sunglasses. You know what I mean? Oh, you're going to be with bands? Yeah, take my sunglasses. You know what I mean? So, you know,
This is gold. This is a gold mine, Mary. I'm taking notes here for myself.
Yeah. You know, but the thing is know what you have, you know, and be confident in what you have. You have a camera, you have an idea, and you've got the trip. You know, you've already paid for the trip. You already know what bands you're going to meet. You already know, you know, what stories you're going to tell. You know, so go. You got the ammo.
Even like bars and pubs and stuff in the area, or like venues that you could potentially partner with and play at on location. Like literally go talk to the artist who you're connecting with. Be like, where's the coolest place in your area that hosts artists or could host artists? Go to that person's social media page, send them a direct message. Gary Vee always says it always goes down in the DM, in the direct message, right? So send them a message and be like, here's who I am. I'm going to be in your city, and I'm going to be playing with, you know, one of your local artists here, and this is how we're, you know, what we're doing. Would you like to be a part of it? We're looking for sponsors. And then, you know, I mean, for you, Aman, like, what would that look like if do you go in having an idea of how much you want to make, or do you just kind of roll the dice and say, like, what are you going to give me? What would you say?
So, you know, my world where I live in, when I'm not paying my dues and I'm playing the role of producer or director, is I go directly to brands. And I say, you know, look, you can spend $100,000 on a commercial with a company, or we can do a commercial and create a whole bunch of content for your social media, because I've got this treatment. So I can get, you know, and I go directly to the brands, and some of them are big major brands, and you know, some of them are the smaller brands. And so that's when I play those roles, I'm doing branded content, because that gives me the opportunity to work on my craft and my skills. And at the same time, it's giving the brands the opportunity to get a whole bunch of content for their social media, which did not exist for filmmakers before. So now you see filmmakers are crushing it right now, and they're coming out of nowhere because they're doing social media content for social media. It's not even content for television. It's not even content for movies. It's a whole new platform and a whole new, you know, way for filmmakers to work, you know, and monetize their skills that was not available to us 5 years ago. So that's what I do. I go directly to the brands and I create branded content. So I create, whether it's shows or commercials or social media content, it's me going directly to the brands, and that's been keeping me busy. Right. And you know, and you can use as a twist as, you know, sponsor my show. You know, I would take the meeting if I were a brand and you were doing a travel music show. I would definitely at least listen to what you had to say over the phone. And if I'm interested, and here's the thing, here's the secret, is that people don't invest in ideas, they invest in people. So the reason why people pay me money to create content is because they like me, period. I don't think I've ever gotten a check because the project was awesome. You know what I mean? Like, right. The project was a home run or whatever. Right. They give me money because they like me and they believe in me. And that's the thing. And I know I'm coming across as, and that's the thing, I kind of come across as arrogant or egotistical when I talk about these things, but it's my passion, and I'm not meaning that at all. It's just, I'm really serious when it comes to this industry, and sure. I just want to get across what's worked for me might work for you, right? And there's no secret to it, and it's just based off of my experience, and I'm just sharing that when I went in, thinking I had the next Titanic, those projects never got off the ground. Right. But when I went in, this is me, this is who I am, and this is what I'm passionate about, and this resonates with me. And I didn't realize it was about it resonating with me till recently, until my friend, explained to me that that's what it was. And it's just that people invest in me from my experience because they want to invest in me, and it's not about the project, and it's not even about their company or their brand at the time, because I'm sure they know bigger production companies and bigger producers and bigger directors and bigger people. So why did they give me money?
Right.
It's because they believed in me, and because they like me.
Right.
And they want to see me succeed. And that goes back to what you were talking about, Ryan, was, they want to see, people want to see you succeed. And it's so true. And that's what you need to walk in with. And that's what you need to pick up the phone with. And that's what you need to DM with, is that I know these people are going to like me.
Right. Have you read, I think it's Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Yeah.
Excellent book.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of what Aman is saying, guys, if you haven't read it, that's a classic on just networking and making ideas happen, and business and art and life and whatever, because a lot of it's just like basic human psychology. And so typically people will do business with those that they know, those they like, and those they trust. And if you can work on those things, not in a sense of like, trying to be all things to all people and wearing a mask or something like that, but just be you and lean into what resonates with you, then naturally you'll start surrounding yourself with people who resonate with that too. And eventually you just start seeing the pieces fall into place. So sometimes you have to kind of take a step back and think like, oh, wow, here's all these different ideas, but they're part of a larger whole, right? And being able to figure out how to plug those pieces in is something that you learn over time. So Aman, thank you. Super, super awesome advice on that. Mary, I don't know if you have any additional questions on that. We've been on for about an hour 45, so I should probably wrap it up here. Aman, if you'd like to come on and do this again sometime, I'd be honored to do a part 2 and just keep the conversation going.
Yeah, we'd love to. I mean, I hope I hope I cover. I don't know if we didn't cover a lot actually, and we've been going a long time.
Sure.
So I'd love to definitely come back, and I don't know. Hopefully, it was helpful to your audience and my audience, and and they kind of see what I've been going through, and it's a struggle for all of us, and you just got to keep.
I tell Mary, just keep singing. Instead of just keep swimming, just keep singing, right?
Yeah, the secret to singing is singing. The secret to writing is writing, and the secret to whatever you want is to just keep your eye on the prize and just keep doing it, and there's no rules to the game, and just otherwise you're going to live the rest of your life wondering what if, and that's not something that I want to do.
Right.
I want to live my life going, you know what, I gave it the best shot that I could. I tried, and at least I tried.
Right. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate the time today. I'd love to, just give you an opportunity now to do like a call to action, let people know like how they can get in touch with you and how to be part of, part of what you're working on. I'm curious though too, real quick, I'm assuming you're planning next year's film festival already?
No, so the next film fest is in September. We do it twice a year.
Oh, wow. Ambitious.
October 6th and 7th is the next film fest. And submissions, we've been getting a lot of submissions. If you get a film freeway, you can submit your short film. We'll be closing submissions here at the end of the month.
What's the site?
Film Freeway.
Okay.
And it's a place where everybody submits. You can submit for any film fest. And so we'll be closing submissions by the end of the month, and then I'm not hard to find, because I don't want to miss out on the next big thing.
Right.
So I'm very easy to find. If if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can find me. And I just want to thank you for doing this. And this right here is an example of what I preach, and it's just doing it. And right here, what you're doing is I see it. a big thing. And, you know, I just want to, I just hope, you know, you keep going with it, because I think it's awesome. And it's a good example of, like, you know, technology and filmmakers, and using technology to bridge the gap and close the gap between us and, you know, the majors,
Sure.
you know, and it's things like this right here that are so beneficial to up and coming authors, filmmakers, musicians, you know, creatives. You know, it's vehicles like this that you have that end up becoming, you know, somebody's going to see it, and somebody's going to, you know, going to take it. You're going to take it to the next level, and it's only going to level up, because it's such you know, a creative way to tell stories, and to tell other people's stories, and to get messages out, to where you know, basically what you're doing is you have a television show that's, you know, that
I can run from my apartment.
yeah, and you can compete, and it's like you can compete with anybody, you know, and that right there is the essence of Ojai Short Film Fest. And that's why I wanted to be a part of this, is because you know, it's guys like you and guys like me that are the future, because when 5G comes out, it's going to be the Wild West again. And you better believe that the independents are going to rise, because they are rising.
Right.
And so, you know, just keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate that, sir, very much. So that's about all I have. People can check out the festival at ohaishortfilmfest.com, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see, I point, but my webcam doesn't go that far, so my arm just cuts off here. So Aman, if you can point down, there you go. So he can point down, and it's right there. So you can connect with Aman at ohaishortfilmfest.com. Further below where Aman's at, if you haven't already, I would love to have you on our VIPs list. That's at reformdesigns.biz/VIPs. That's where I send personal emails to my list whenever we put out new content, or we're going to be doing a new show. And so that's always developing, but that's where I have the most direct connection with those of you who want to kind of take our connection to the next level. And if you need help with, I'm gonna blank you out here real quick, Aman, just to do a little promo thing. I'm gonna snap my fingers and make it look like it's magic, but I'm literally just switching a picture on. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. And if you want to bring your brand or ideas to life, please go to logos.reformdesigns.biz. We put together branding packages for people who are looking to take their brand to the next level. So that's everything from startups who are like, you know what, I'm going to do this thing. I want a logo. I'm tired of using Comic Sans and Papyrus as fonts for my logos. And I want to, you know, really stand out from the crowd. You can do that at our website, logos.reformdesigns.biz, and set up a time to connect with us, and we will see what that looks like for you. Or if you're a larger business or a small business, whatever it is, who's just tired of the current style and logo that you have, or just the overall look and feel of your brand, we can help with that too. And that's what we love to do. We love helping people really lean into their brand and figure out, okay, you know what, this is an idea I want to bring to life. I feel stuck. How do I get to the next level? You know, that's where we really enjoy leaning into those kind of projects. So that's about it for that. And if you do sign up for my VIPs list, which is over there, you'll get a free copy of my first book, Stop Wasting Time and Burning Money, How to Crush Procrastination and Live the Life of Your Dreams. And if you watched it this far, please leave a comment below. And if you don't already have a digital copy of that, I will make sure to send that to you. Or if you'd like, you can just sign up at my VIPs list. We are going to be starting to do more giveaways on the show and things of that sort to prep for my last call to action here, my forthcoming book. It's called The Science of Getting Rich: How to Think, How to Act, and What to Do to Harness Your Creative Potential. This is actually green, but it gets kicked out because I have a green screen filter on, so you can't see that. And, you know, that's why you can see through that right now. But this is the book was originally published in 1910 by a guy named Wallace Wattles, and he talks a lot about how to go from idea to reality to monetizing those ideas. And so I've republished it because the book's in the public domain, and I've offered my own thoughts on the creative process, as well as like 8 or 9 pages of reading recommendations and other resources that are great for creatives to help make their ideas happen. So you can pre-order that right now at scienceofgettingrich.info. I don't have a graphic for that right now, but I clearly need one because that would make this a much better sales pitch. So I'm going to write that down. So that's about all I've got for today. My room is really, really warm, and I feel like I'm sweating because all these lights are on. So I also have this sweatshirt on because this is all about branding, but it's actually like 85 degrees in here. So that's about all I have for today. I'm going to go take a cool shower and get some lunch. Aman, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, sir. And make sure to connect with Aman at ojaishortfilmfest.com. Aman, do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, thanks for doing this. And I look forward to seeing other creatives on here and following you guys. And thank you for helping with the branding of Ojai Short Film Fest and the ideas and the consultations. And I highly recommend it for everyone to go through, to go through you and your company. I think it's spectacular.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So what I'll do, Aman, just so you know, is I'll wrap up the show here, and we'll just have like a few minutes to kind of debrief. So don't sign off yet. But for the rest of you guys, thanks so much. As always, I'm Ryan Rhoades with reformdesigns.biz, and we will see you next time. Cheers.